All right, hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a continuation of the last video where we created a base structure of a chatbot. And let me share my screen to show you better what exactly we did in the last video. And we're going to continue building our RAG chatbot on Streamlit with this. So let me share my screen here and let me take you through the application, right? So this is what we created so far, wherein I input the URL on the sidebar, and there you go. The chatbot gets activated. And now I can go ahead and start asking some questions. And you can see that there is a sequence that is getting generated. You ask a question, and then the AI is going to respond. And then again, you ask some other question. By the way, right now, there's a default response that I've given, which has come back later. And then we are going to, of course, switch this with this particular default message with some logic behind as well. Let's say, what is the capital of India? And there you go again. It says come back later because there's a default response that has been kept here. Now let me go to the code that we have written so far. And as you can see, what we have done is, oops, let me hide the OpenAI key because that's very, very important. But anyway, um, this is what we have done so far. We have created a chat history variable, which is a session variable. And we are asking here if the chat history is not in session state. We are populating it with the default value as in, hello, how can I help you? I'm a bot, right? And then what we are doing is, this is the value that we are putting in sidebar, wherein we are asking, just put a value of a URL. If there is a value of a URL, if the value of the URL is none, then we are putting a message, please enter a URL. Else, if the value of the URL is not null, then what we are doing is, then instead of sidebar, we are coming to the main section, which is this particular section here. And then we are taking the user query from this particular text box that we have created. And we are putting this user query in, again, chat history variable, but in the human message part of the chat history variable. And we are populating that user query in that section. And then the AI message is the response. Now, what is response? Response is a dummy function that we have created right now. And you can see here, it's a dummy function that we have created that returns a default value of come back later. Now we are going to populate it with the logical code that we have created in our last to last video about creating a complete RAG framework. All right, so let's get started now. See, the first thing that we need to do is, and let me take you back to the code that we have created while we created the RAG chatbot. So first things first is we need to get the document loader. Now, in our case, since we are working with websites, so what we need is a web-based loader. So this is the library to call the web-based loader. So let's pick it up from here and put it in this section, document loading and splitting. From LangChain community or document loaders, import web-based loaders. And let's create a function here, def get vector store. Now, why I am saying that we need this function get vector store is, again, let me take you back to the code. Here, if you see, ultimately what happened was we created a vector store after getting the document, chunking the document, or splitting the document, creating those splits into embeddings, and then storing that in the FAS database. All this was done and then eventually stored in a variable called as get vector store. Now, this is a very important variable for us and sort of like the first step that we need to do. That's why I've created this function called get vector store. And this will take the website URL. And let's go down here as well. And here, when we are taking, if website URL is none or website URL is empty, then st.write, please enter a URL. Otherwise, what you do is, otherwise you call this function called get vector store and pass on the website URL. Okay. And then we'll see what we need to do with this. Now let's come back to this function over here. Now what we need to do is we need to load using the web base loader. We'll put the website URL out here. And then the next step is documents is equal to loader dot load. Fantastic. And then let's return document, not documents, but it's one single document that is being returned. So we're going to return this document. And here, just to check if this is working fine, let me just print it so that we can verify that this is working fine or not, right? Great. Let's run this. Now let's go back and reload our application. Let's press enter. There you go. Now what we can see is the complete document or the complete website, which is now converted into a document, is something that we can see over here. Great. Fantastic. So this is step one done for us. Let's go back to the code and let's go back to the RAG updated code. Now, what was the next step that we did? The next step that we did was after we loaded the document was to split the document. Now we use this function called as recursive character text splitter. So let me use this particular function out here and first load the library. And let's go back and use text splitter is equal to recursive character text splitter. And then use the chunk size as 200. And what is the other parameter that we give? Let me go back and check what is the chunk size and chunk overlap. Chunk overlap. Okay, so let's make it as 400 and let's make this as 50. So we have done the text splitting, and now what we'll do is we'll use splits is equal to text splitter dot split underscore documents. And here we will give this particular document. And now let's return the splits. Let's run this. Now what you will see is this particular has one single chunk over here. Now what will happen is the entire document will be split into multiple chunks. So let's give it the same URL. There you go. It is now split into multiple chunks. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's going to be multiple of them. Great. So I think this is fine. We are going in the right direction. Let's go back to the code and see what is the next step that we did. Great. Now we are at the final step, sub-step of the first activity, which is to take these splits now and use FAS vector database to store these splits by converting them into embeddings, right? So this is typically the code that we need to use. But anyway, let's go back and first see if we have already, yep, there you go. We have already installed the fast GPU over here extension. And then let's go back and see what do we need to do in order to install the FAS database. There you go. LangChain underscore community dot vector stores import FAS. We are going to do the same thing. Right. And also what we need to do is we need to, instead of sentence transformer, this time I'm going to use OpenAI embedding. So from LangChain underscore community dot embeddings import OpenAI embeddings. Great. Now let's go back to the same function after this is done. After this is done, now what we need to do is we'll say vector store is equal to pass that dot from documents splits and OpenAI embeddings. And this is going to return the vector store. Spelling mistake. There you go. Now let's reload this and see if we get some sort of an object here. So let me put the URL once again. There you go. We're getting an object get vector store is giving a pass based object. So this now as next steps, what I'm going to do is um, I'm going to make get vector store as a session variable. And the reason I'm going to make it as a session variable is because there are calls to OpenAI embeddings. And as you know, that OpenAI is not a free LLM that we can use, right? So I think making it a session variable is a better option because you don't have to make multiple calls to OpenAI embeddings. So let's do this. Let's take this chat history and let's go here. If website URL is none, else let's put it here. And let's declare our session variables over here. If the website URL is not none, that's when we'll create chat history as one of the session variables, and the other session variable is going to be vector store. So if vector store not in st dot session state, then in that case, what we're going to do is st dot session state dot chat history, st dot session state dot vector store is equal to get vector store, and we'll pass on the website URL. All right. So that's what. So we're making session variables as soon as we get the legit website URL. So chat history and vector store are being created as a session variable. Now let's go back to our RAG code that we created a couple of videos back. And this is something that you can see in my video library as well. How do we create conversational retrieval chain? So the first step to create a conversational retrieval chain is to create something called as history aware retriever, right? And how do we do that is by creating a prompt which is headed by a message placeholder, and we'll give it a context, or rather we'll give it an indication that hey, whatever context you have, you generate a search query to find the best answer, right? So that's what essentially we will do. So these are the libraries that we need to download, which is the create history aware retriever, message placeholder, and the other libraries that you need to download is an LLM. So LLM is going to be a chat open AI LLM, and you're also creating chat prompt template. So that's another library that needs to be downloaded. So what I've done in my code is, let me by the way take this code as well. So what I've done in my code is I've already downloaded these chains, these libraries, etc., so on and so forth. Now let's go ahead and create this function def get history retriever, and we will pass on, what are we going to pass on? We're going to pass on the vector store. All right. Now, here what we're going to do is something similar that we have done here, right? So first of all, we'll have the chat OpenAI. So we have initialized the LLM, and after that, we are going to create a prompt. Prompt is equal to chat prompt template dot from messages. We'll create a messages placeholder, messages placeholder, and we'll give it a variable name as this variable name is 1 second. It's not like this. It's like this. Variable name is going to be chat history. And then we're going to give it a user prompt user. And why don't we copy this instead of, there you go. This is better, right? User, given the context, generate a search query to find out the best answer. And user also gives the input. So this prompt is created. Great. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to create something called as the history aware retriever, because that's what we want to pass. But before that, what we also need is a retriever. So let's go ahead and create retriever is equal to, we'll take the vector store dot as retriever. That's how you get the retriever. And now we'll create history retriever. It's a little spelling mistake, so let me correct this. History retriever is going to be is equal to create history retriever, and we're going to pass certain things to it, like LLM retriever and prompt. LLM retriever and prompt. There you go. And let's return retriever. Okay. It's not. It's actually create history aware retriever. There you go. So now we have created this. Great. So that is one part that we have completed, which is creating a history retriever. Now, what is the next part that we need to do? The next thing that we need to do is now we need to create a stuff document chain, and we will create a retrieval chain, and we'll pass on the stuff document chain as well as the history of a retrieval chain to this particular thing. So let's go ahead and build that. So let me put a comment here. Returns history retriever. And this function is going to return conversation rag. Okay, so def get conversation rag, and here we are going to pass the history retriever, right? Because that is essentially what is required here, right? So now let's see what all is needed here. We're going to create a system prompt message placeholder and user, which will have an input. So let's go ahead and create this prompt first. So first of all, LLM is equal to chat OpenAI, and answer prompt is equal to chat prompt template dot from messages. And inside this, let me give it a system prompt first. And how do we give system prompt? We can, this is one of the ways through which we can give system prompt. There's a comma. And here what I'm going to do is, here I'm going to tell it that basis whatever conversation you have had, you give the best possible answer. Is something that we have done here as well. This is a chatbot that takes into account context and gives out the best answer. So let me gives out the best answer with a bit of humor. So, we'll see how we can spice up things a little. And then messages placeholder. Variable name is equal to chat history, right? And then the next is the user part that takes the input. There you go. So now we have created the prompt as well. This is created. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to create a stuff document chain that will take in the LLM and answer prompt. So let me go ahead and question answer prompt is equal to create stuff document chain LLM and answer prompt. And then finally the RAG chain. This is going to take the RAG chain is equal to create retrieval chain. This is going to take the history retriever from here and question answer chain. And this is going to return RAG chain. Fantastic. So now we have created the conversation RAG as well. Great. Now, finally, what we need to do is we need to make certain changes in the get response function, right? Two steps. One is create a history aware retriever. Okay. And then the other one is create a RAG chain. So history retriever is equal to get history retriever. And here we're going to pass the st.session state dot vector store. That's one part. The next part is RAG chain is equal to get conversation RAG. And here we're going to pass the history retriever. Great. This is also done. And then response. Let me accept this for now. This is conversation. This is RAG chain dot invoke. And post part is actually chat history. So the first part is chat history. So input is actually user query. So there you go. Let me do one thing. Let me make it a little more indentful. I don't know if there's a word indentful, but yeah. So this is what we want. And by the way, not just this, but what we want to return is response, not the entire response. Let's do one thing. Let's try and share the entire response first, and then we'll see. Um, the particular answer is in one particular array called response of array. But let's just stick to it for a while. So we've created the session variables. Let me comment this out for now, this particular thing. We've created the session variables, and then user query, we're taking in user query, and in response, we are sending get response user query. So the user query goes here, and then the history aware retriever is activated. We get the history retriever, which is then shared to get conversation RAG, from where we get the conversation RAG. And then we invoke it by giving the history and also the user query, and then we are returning the response. Great. So response will have the entire set of responses, whatever 2 or 3 responses, and then we are appending it in the human message and response. So I think this should work. Let's go ahead and see. Why are there 2 instances? I'm not very sure on this, but anyway, let's work out on this instance. Ask me anything. Okay. What is this article about? We're getting some error. Okay. What is the error? Validation AI message should be a valid string, chat history, and input is a dictionary. Okay. Why does right? So the error that we received was specifically because we were sending out just the response. So what we in fact needed to do was we needed to send the response, the answer part of the response. So that's what I did. And now the code is running pretty well. So let me just restart it so that I can show you. And let me, on the other hand, also uh, put it out here so that you can see what the blog or the article that I was reading was about 10 AI micro-SaaS ventures that deliver impressive ROI, right? That's the net topic. So let me go ahead and ask some question. What is this article about? This article is about a tool called Camp that helps users create high-performing SEO blogs effortlessly. Uh, okay. Let me talk about something. Mini course generator. What happened there? Okay. What is the mini course generator about? Well, the mini course is a tool that allows users to create mini courses quickly and easily with the help of AI. It can be for educational leads. The tool has a monthly recurring revenue of $55,000. So let me go ahead and check if that's the case. There you go, $55,000. So it's picking up stuff from the link that we have given, and it is giving us the entire um, data. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. So that was about creating the entire RAG application or the conversational based RAG chatbot using Streamlit application. So give it a try yourself and see how it works. And then stay tuned for the other set of videos that in future, I'm going to slowly publish. That's all about from this video. Have a nice day. Cheers. Bye.